Alright guys, we're picking up right where we left off in the last video. Still fighting Whiskey Wesley here. This fight got a little prolonged because he I don't know what you want to call it, whatever he did, but he grew his little Wolverine claws and went all Super Saiyan. But you know, talking about this DLC and coming back and replaying it and stuff, you know, I think one of the reasons I like this one so much is because it has, you know, well, it's got that little spooky zombie horror thing that, you know, as I've stated, I'm a horror movie buff. Also, you have all these neat little pop culture references to things that were popular when I was growing up, and well, actually, the whole game, both games, kind of has that. But at any rate, but you know, it was fun too, you know, and when you combine all those things into one. I mean, I don't want to say Nox wasn't fun, but I hated fighting the Crimson Lance, and that was mostly what was in the Nox DLC. With the exception of, there's a couple places with bandits, and there's the Skags and drifters, which is, I had an irrational fear of drifters until Borderlands 2 came out, and the Hammerlock DLC came out, and the drifters weren't so bad, but anybody that played the Nox DLC, you shit your pants the first time you came across a drifter in the Hammerlock DLC. Don't you fucking lie. But, because, like, every drifter in the Nox DLC was, like, a super ultimate badass. Well, they were all basically, like, Dexidious. And then they kind of toned them down in the Hammerlock DLC, but you know you were scared the first time you saw one. The only problem I had with these DLCs, as you can see, like, I'll save and quit a couple times, is, oh, the walking, because they didn't have fast travels in the different areas. And, you know, people talk about how big Nox's DLC was, but the only reason Nox's DLC was so huge is because you spent a half hour just driving to get to the armory or just driving to get to Cromerax, and it's like, it was terrible. Just to drive alone to get to the prison. Yeah. I don't think the areas in the Claptrap DLC were so big, though. They seemed. The only area in the Claptrap DLC I absolutely hated was Sanders Gorge, because I got turned around in there. Well, I still get turned around in there pretty easily. But you know, thankfully they fixed their mistake in the second one. You know, they had vehicles in all the DLCs for the second one, and they had fast travel. Thank God. Could you imagine trying to run Hyperius farms and having to start all the way in Oasis and go all the way to, I can't remember the name of the place now, Washburn Refinery? That would suck. You know, one thing I noticed on getting into this YouTube thing is there's a lack of, well, I don't want to say a whole lack of, but like, there's a general lack of any constructive criticism, I guess. Like, somebody will dislike a video, which is fine, but, you know, why do you dislike it? Did they, you know, I think if you want people to, like, if you kind of like somebody's content, but you think they can do better, why don't you just say, like, hey, why don't you try doing this instead of this, or, I don't know. I think, like, I mean, I want constructive criticism. I mean, that's, you're not going to help somebody if you're just like, oh, you suck. You got to. I don't understand why there isn't more like, hey, this part isn't too bad, but this part here, why don't you maybe do less of this and do more of this, or do, you know, it, it, but I guess that's, I don't know, maybe I expect too much out of people or something, I'm not sure. But, that not everything has to be speed runs and speed kills. I don't understand why everybody thinks that. But, I mean, it's cool to watch that stuff, but, there's more to it than that. Although I am starting to watch some of the speedrunning community. I've watched some speedruns in the past. But like them dudes that speedrun Zelda 2, man, they blow my fucking mind because I have a love-hate relationship with Zelda 2. I like that game, but I hate it at times. And man, I don't think I have the patience to learn how to speedrun Zelda 2. I'd crack something in half, I think. Although, I've been watching some Dishonored speedruns, and I have that game. I need to play it. I just exited the sewers. I never went past that point yet. So I should just get into that, finish that game, because I liked what I played so far of it. Although the rats kind of creep me out, but it intrigues me. It wasn't something I thought I'd like, but I think I'm gonna give it a go here. Maybe I'll even, since I'm not that far into it, maybe I'll even start over and upload stuff. I don't know. We shall see.
Infernal popcorn habit, I kind of miss Bill. Frank, the temp that replaced him, just wasn't the same, and definitely had too small a hunchback to suit my taste in assistance. Yeah, he was no Bill. Yep, he was no Bill. Man, I really wish Bill hadn't gotten all masticated by that zombie. Actually, I got an idea. I still have some body parts around here from Frank. Maybe there's something I can do. Who needs Dr. Zed when you have Dr. Ned? Do me a favor. Would you buy first aid so that I won't have to fix you up later? Oh, okay. This is going to be hard to say. So, one of my reanimated corpses sorta ate Bill today. And by sorta, I mean he's now crapping his bones in the yard. The good news is he's already paid me rent, and I don't have to listen to him bitch about toenail clippings that totally weren't even mine. Not to mention the popcorn shenanigans. Consider this my solemn promise to begin attempting evil for the sake of profit from this point on. My brother, who isn't even the same as me in disguise, would never support me in this. I hope no one ever finds these logs and incriminates me to my employer, Jacobs, because that would probably set off a whole chain of events where I have to try and kill them with my horrific creations. Oh well.
I like the humor in the first one too, just a little bit more than I like the humor. Like it seemed like the humor in the second game was basically all dick and fart jokes, which is fine. I like dick and fart jokes, but
This is the first official
and
entry of
I
my
will say I think
Dr.
Handsome Jack was a very good villain. I know there's some
My ongoing mission
division there.
is the
People
lives
either
of those
love him or hate him. It doesn't seem like there's a lot of happy middle ground, but
in our Bill,
there's
are you making popcorn?
there was just a little bit more.
Dude, we just talked about this.
It was the humor. I don't know if this is the right way to word it, but it seemed like it was a little bit more subdued in the first game. It was there, but it wasn't like being kicked into your face every 5 minutes. I don't know. I think if they can find the right balance between two games, then the writing in the third one will be just about perfect. It seemed like they kind of went off the rails in a couple places in the third one, or in the second one, but I mean, overall it was good. I mean, at least there was a story. There wasn't much of a story in this one, and that's
Loyal Nedcast viewers. ship, now in the 3rd week of my clinical
But
trials with corpse reanimation. The
I mean, there was, but I mean, it
well to the
didn't
treatment,
really
but
oh my
the
God,
bodies
didn't really
themselves
exist
seem to
much
have
outside of
uncontrollable hunger.
go
Right
here.
now, it seems all they crave
You're
is
gonna get a whole bunch of
raisins and
riches
bran
and
muffins.
oh nope, never mind. There's a big slimy tentacle
I fear
monster
with
in
the
there. You're
ring
not getting
applied to
anything
the
cool.
cell reanimation, their hunger will grow much stronger and possibly dangerous. Fear not, I will trudge forward unhindered by the possible destruction of mankind. Am I mad? Probably. But at least I don't make popcorn when people are trying to work.
And I see, this game's gaining popularity again. You know, you got guys on Twitter hashtagging repopulate Borderlands 1, and people are trying to get other people back into it. And I see more people are starting to stream it, and yeah, that's cool. I mean, this was a good game. The fact that people still love this game, what, 5 years after it came out? When did this come out? 2007 or 2009? 2009, I think. Yeah, 2009. But anyways, the fact that people are still playing it this far after release really speaks volumes to the quality of the game. I mean, people are still playing Borderlands 2, but it's only like a year and a half old, and I think in a few years you're going to see more people still playing the first Borderlands than you are going to see people playing Borderlands 2, just for the simple fact that there's less tedium involved in the first one at end game, if you want to play like true end game. Whereas I think Borderlands 2, their major mistake with the overpower levels was, first of all, you know, I don't think there was a single person out there asking for them to buff the health regeneration on the enemies, so that was their first mistake. And then they just didn't think through this overpower thing, I think, enough, because, half the turtle shields are useless because they put your health at negative values or kill you or any number of things, and then some of the other items aren't all that useful at the higher levels. So I think excuse me, I think if they would put some more thought into it, it probably would have worked a little bit better, but it is what it is. I mean, for the most part, it's kind of like being able to pick your own difficulty. You kind of guess, like, OP8 would be hard, OP0 would be easy-ish. Then maybe like 4 or 5, I guess, would be medium, maybe. I don't know. I tend to either play on OP8 if I feel like a challenge, or I play on OP0, and as I've said before, that's just kind of like playing this game at level 69. Actually, this game at level 69, like I said, I think this one might be easier at 69 than Borderlands 2 is at OP0. I don't remember ever having, like I said, I don't remember having all these loot goons before.
The best evil mad scientist. Yeah, that's right. It's me, Dr. Ned. That's with an N, not a Z. I have created a new Bell. I didn't have time to put them together in a smart, safe way. I just had to try and cram some new pieces, fixes, and patches onto the old belt. So it turned out that he's not really Bell or Frank. He's more of a Frankenbell. It's a bit of a hack job, but it seems to work, so I say, ship it.
I wonder if they're going to do anything with that little comment in Tiny Tina DLC that there's a third unknown brother of Zed and Ned, because they left it ambiguous for a while there, then they kind of just came right out and basically hinted that Ned and Zed are two different people. But there was, I can't remember the exact nature of the comment, but they did say that there is a third brother in the Tina DLC. Which I'm really excited. You know, I mean, people were up in arms because Pitchford said that Borderlands 3 isn't actively being developed, and everybody's like, it's not being made. Which, I mean, I don't understand why it has to be all doomsday scenario whenever somebody says something like that. Just because they're not actively developing it doesn't mean they're not working on it. You know, they're not programming code, but there's probably somebody sitting there drawing up concept art. Which my hope, and I at first I was kind of bummed out that the original 4 Vault Hunters weren't coming back as playable characters in the second one, but I ended up really liking most of the Vault Hunters. I don't play a whole lot of Salvador. And I don't play a whole lot of Axton, but I use them a little bit. But I'd really like to see, with the capabilities of next-gen consoles, I think instead of introducing new characters, they should just give you the 3 that are left from this game and the 6 that were in the second one. Or, because, you know, why not? I mean, how cool would it be to do like what was in that original Borderlands 2, that one trailer, phase lock a bunch of goons with Maya and then have Lilith go tearing through with her phase walk and just disintegrate everybody. And could you imagine Blaster Master Brick and an explosive Axton? That'd be pretty sick. But you know, that's just my feelings, but I don't see why you couldn't have. Technically, you got more horsepower with the new consoles. Why can't you make it like 6-player co-op, or, you know, or something? Just if, you know, Pitchford wants the game to, he said the game has to be bigger than Borderlands 2. And, you know, you got 6 Vault Hunters in 2. You add in the 3 from this game, and you got, there's 9 for you, and then just make up a new one, there's your 10th. But, I don't know if they'll necessarily do that. I think it'd be cool, you know, at least have, I mean, Mordecai, I mean, it can be argued that Mordecai and Zero are kind of the same, because, you know, you can do the whole sniper thing with Mordecai and the whole sniper thing with Zero, but, I think they'd be different enough, because you'd have people probably playing a melee Zero, and there's a lot of people that played a pistol build Mordecai. So I don't know, but I still think it'd be cool to have. And to me, if the way they ended the second one, it'd be kind of weird to have a new set of Vault Hunters continuing on with finding all these vaults when, you know, you had the conversation between Lilith, Brick, and Mordecai and Sanctuary. They were, you know, they basically stand there and discuss going and finding these vaults. And, you know, the second group of Vault Hunters got pretty invested in the whole situation with trying to kill Jack and everything. You know, why wouldn't they want to continue on and try to find more vaults? And even if not all of them, some of them, you know. But that's just my theory. You know, and speaking of the future of the Borderlands franchise, you know, we're all, I'm not alone in this, I know, forums are flutter with it, and everybody wants moon-based DLC. And one of the popular rumors going around that why it's not happening is the consoles don't have the consoles can't handle it. And my thoughts are, if Gearbox really wanted to do it, they could find a way around it. Like, you know, why not make it like an expansion, like Doom 3. Remember when Doom 3 came out, and then they came out with the expansion, what was it, Resurrection of Evil? You know, why couldn't they do like Borderlands 2, the Assault on the Hyperion moon base or something, you know? Have it be a separate entity from the game, but like it uses your Borderlands 2 save files, so you don't have to grind again or anything. You just import your save, you have your character, you have your gear, you have your skills. You know what I'm saying? And just make it huge, make it like 6 hours long or something, you know? And charge like $20 or $30 for it. Then you appease everybody, you know, and then you kind of have that happy middle ground to hold people over until Borderlands 3. Plus, you know, unless they do it in a really good way, it just kind of seems to me like the moon base should be wrapped up with, because it would probably piss a lot of people off if they come out with new characters for Borderlands 3 and they're the ones that assault the moon base, because a lot of people want to do this with the current Vault Hunters in Borderlands 2, which makes sense, you know. I mean, handsome Jack dogs you throughout the whole game. You want to take your Mayas and your Zeros and your Salvadors to the moon base and fuck shit up. So it'd be pretty shitty if they either hand wave it and it happens off screen, or you go after it in the third game with completely new Vault Hunters. That would just suck ass, and nobody's going to be happy about that. And if they think they're in a shitstorm now because of some of the decisions they made with Borderlands 2, they'd really be in a shitstorm with that. But we'll see what happens. I'm sure, you know, it was just announced that Borderlands 2 was like one of the highest selling 2K games ever or something like that. And, you know, if Gearbox wants the money to do something, I'm sure 2K will give them the money. You know, it'll be like the little Fry meme, like, to shut up and take my money. Which is why I don't understand why, not a lot of people, but, you know, every once in a while there's a comment here and there about people like, oh, they must not have the money to, or they're not going to get the funding for Borderlands 3 and blah, blah, blah. No, they'll get the funding. There's no doubt about that in my mind whatsoever, because, you know, it made Gearbox a ton of money. It made 2K a ton of money. They will get they will definitely get funding for Borderlands 3. So I don't think there's going to be any issue with that. And also, you know, I mean, there's not, there's not a lot of gas left in Borderlands 2, I don't think. I mean, other than the moon-based DLC, or a moon-based expansion. Yeah, I mean, there's not a whole lot else they can do with it, and that's what people want to see. So I think they'd be absolutely batshit insane to not do it. But only time will tell. You know, I mean, how long did people rally for some kind of Cromarax nod, and, you know, now they're finally doing that with this last Headhunter pack that's coming out in March, I think it's coming out. With the Son of Cromarax deal, Headhunter pack, you know, they're finally appeasing that group. And, I mean, they still put out patches. You know, they're still showing support for the game, and they're still trying to work on it. I mean, granted, some of their patches leave a little to be desired, because, I mean, I don't know if you saw one of my Maya killing Jock videos. If you're using plasma casters, there's still the one damage fire DOT. So I mean, there's still got things to work out. Maya still has some broken ass skills, but I mean, they're trying. And some people kind of get a little shitty, I think. Um, there's nothing wrong with criticism, but don't act like an asshole. You know, because even Pitchford said constructive criticism will get you farther than being a dick. And I don't know. There's I don't want to keep using the term elitism, but there's an arrogance among some of the Borderlands 2 players that is kind of like a turn off. You know, it's just like I can't follow you or subscribe to your beliefs when you act kind of douchey about trying to make your point. Like there's, you know, like people, for some reason there's a lot of people like, you know, I don't understand the mentality that you can only use this combination of things and everything. I think, as I said earlier in this video, not every Borderlands 2 video or even Borderlands 1 video has to be some kind of speed kill. As fun as they are to watch, there is other interesting ways to play the game and play games in general, but everybody wants to, you know, the internet's full of people who want to prove that their dick's bigger than yours. A lot of walking in this DLC too. That's the nice thing about using Lilith too. You can just phase walk and zoom through a little bit of an area. But we're nearing the end here. We're in the lumberyard. I think all I got left is to get to Ned, and then I'll go and kill Pumpkinhead. But I'm not doing the zombies, the zombie brains quest.
On the multitudes of minions I've set upon you.
Like Wozcat, you wouldn't believe what happened to me. The misery machine broke down. Like, I know that's not news, but I found this town and there's like no one.
I almost wonder too if, you know, it probably wouldn't be that hard. I wonder if Gearbox would ever release like a I don't want to say HD, but like almost an HD collection for the next gen consoles, and package Borderlands 1 and 2 together, because I mean they're almost basically PCs. It wouldn't be that hard to just tweak a couple lines of code and get the games running on the next gen consoles. I mean they're Unreal 3 games, so it shouldn't be all that complicated. If they do that, they might as well just buy a printing press and make their own money, because people will buy it. There's a demand for it, you know. That'll keep interest going a little bit longer into the next game whenever they decide to put it out. But too, you got the Tales from the Borderlands game that Telltale's doing, and you know, I'm curious to see what that's going to be like. It's, you know, it's not going to be a shooter or anything like that. It's going to be a typical Telltale game, but you know, there's still some interest there on my part. I'd like to see what how it turns out and what kind of story they're going to tell with it. Yeah, it'll be interesting. I don't know who's writing it. It'll be interesting to see somebody else's take on the Borderlands lore, or lack thereof. I mean, there really isn't a whole lot. Ooh. There isn't really like a whole lot of deep lore other than the All Came to Pandora, Ancient Vaults, Atlas, blah 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 blah. But it'll be interesting to see somebody else's take on writing these characters in this world and see how that turns out. Because I mean, the only Telltale game I played is sadly, Jurassic Park. I don't want to discuss that. But, you know, one of the things they are known for is good storytelling. I think once all the parts come out, I'll probably give The Walking Dead a shot. The only thing with episodic games is it's the same issue I have with cable TV. I've been waiting to see what's going to happen. So once all the parts are out for The Walking Dead and all the parts are out for The Wolf Among Us, I'll probably pick those up and go through them. See what they're about. You know, like I said, I'm just kind of waiting because I don't want to download a part and then be left on a cliffhanger and have to wait for however long for the next part.
After all, though, if you get hurt and all bothered, I'll probably just let you up and die on account of you discovering my evil plans and all.
I'm really good at this.
You know, at least with this Brains quest, it wasn't too bad because you could knock it out pretty quickly if you picked it up earlier in the DLC. I completely didn't even consider going to Hollow's End and talking to Baja, but
Can't jump over it. Damn it! What?
you know, I could see how some people thought it was tedious,
Bearing module.
but any tedium in this quest was quickly trumped by the fetch or the collection quests in the Claptrap DLC. I think there's some of those I still haven't done. You know, finding the pink panties and the 3D glasses and what is it, oil cans or something like that. Because that stuff was just entirely too random. But I think, if I remember correctly, and don't hold me to this, like I know the Nox DLC was developed internally, and I think maybe this DLC was developed internally, but Moxie and Claptraps was done by somebody. They outsourced it. I can't remember who they outsourced it to, but it probably explains a little bit. Which, I mean, I liked the Claptrap DLC. The Moxie DLC I didn't mind. It was just, you had to have friends to do it, well, to make it fun, and it was just so long.
I'm really good at this.
I'm baking brownies. You want one? Oh, shit, wait. I forgot about me trying to shove you off this mortal coil. Can't be giving brownies to just any vengeance-driven D-wad now, can I? Hey, you know if zombies like brownies?
Kinda, I guess Ned kinda has a little bit of Jackisms to him, or Jack has some Nedisms to him, since I guess Ned came first. He kinda taunts you in a similar fashion as Jack does. You know, I thought, you know, in a game like this that doesn't take itself too seriously and has some kind of goofy, quirky characters and such, I thought Jack was the perfect villain in the second one. You know, and again, that's just my personal opinion. But, you know, you liked him because he was, or at least I liked him because he had some funny shit that he said, but still he did things that made you just hate him, and you're like, man, I can't wait to kill that guy and end Hyperion. Now, hopefully, they don't use his death to eliminate Hyperion completely in the third game, because, you know, a lot of people were pretty miffed about the lack of Atlas and SNS in the second game, but, you know what, I'm getting to the end of this, so I think I'll save that. I'll hang on to that thought for the next video. I'll talk about my thoughts on Atlas and SNS and what could happen in the third game with manufacturers. But until then, I want to thank everybody for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.
I don't think these zombies are wearing masks. So